In this video, I want to give you an overview of the plans for making a boomerang. And that's what you see here. A couple of things to pay attention to. The first is the grid that you see here. If you've never worked with a grid before, it's a way of transferring curved shapes from pieces of paper to pieces of wood or any other material you might be working with. So you can start by printing this file out. It's available as part of the course in PDF form. And note down here at the bottom, it says 1 square equals ½ an inch. That means that when you draw a grid of 1/2 inch squares all over your piece of 1/4 inch plywood, and then you look at this diagram and you transfer the intersection points between the outline of the boomerang and the grid. You transfer those points onto your wood and then connect the dots and you'll have the outline you want. So down here, for instance, right here, the touch point with the grid is right along this line and right along this line. So on your wood, on your grid, put a dot there. Move over one, put another dot, maybe 20% up from the bottom. Move over here, another dot just to the right of this line here. And you do that all the way around, and then, like I said before, you just connect the dots in as smooth a way as possible with a pencil, and now you've got your outline. Now in this project, it's fairly small, so another way to do it is just to print out the piece of paper, maybe enlarge it however big you want the boomerang to be, and then cut out the image, the outline, the profile of the boomerang, and glue that to your wood temporarily with some rubber cement, and then follow the paper and its outline to cut the shape. And that works well. You can peel off the paper and rub off the residue of rubber cement and you're good to go. The exact size of the boomerang doesn't really matter much. It can be this size or it can be larger. So this is one of those projects where it's kind of flexible, easygoing sort of project. The overall size doesn't matter very much. What does matter very much is the airfoil shape of the arms of the boomerang, which really are wings. You need to think of them as wings. 2 wings attached together at 90 degrees. Look up here. You see this? This is the profile, what I call the airfoil profile of the wing. And the shape of this profile creates lift, because when the air hits the wing, it has to speed up as it goes over the top compared with other air that's going along the bottom. And the air on the top has to speed up because there's more surface area on the top of the wing than the bottom. So that's really what causes lift in an airplane wing or a boomerang wing. The thing is, though, you've got to get the whole business of leading edge and trailing edge just right. See, the leading edge has to lead into the wind as the boomerang spins. So you can see here, this is the leading edge of this wing because the boomerang is thrown and it rotates in a counterclockwise fashion. So counterclockwise means that this is the leading edge of the wing. This is the edge that's going to encounter the air first, and then this is the trailing edge. But look at here. Down here, it's opposite. The inside edge of this wing is the leading edge, and this outer edge is the trailing edge. So you got to get that right. The orientation on one wing is different than the other, and that's crucial because both leading edges, the edges that encounter the wind as this thing is rotating through the air counterclockwise, the leading edge has to hit the air first. So if you get that wrong, your boomerang's not going to fly very well, if at all. Now these lines here, they're not just for decoration. They're actually a huge help, and it's one reason why you want to make something like this out of thin, high-quality plywood, if possible. You see, these lines, these shaded lines, correspond to the plywood lamination lines that you're going to see if you've got the boomerang shaped properly. So naturally, just like contour lines on a map, the leading edge lines, plywood lamination lines, are going to be fairly close together because it's steep and blunt. But over here, the trailing edge is going to be much more shallow because it's tapered more. The beauty of this is when you're shaping this boomerang, you can really see how the contours are going because of these lines. Now, cutting out the outer perimeter of the boomerang, you're going to want to use some sort of a saw. So it could be a scroll saw, could be a bandsaw, could be a handheld jigsaw. Either of those will cut curved shapes very well. So that's pretty straightforward. The rest of the operation on the boomerang is done with a sander, a 5-inch random orbit sander. So essentially, when you're looking at the boomerang when it's first cut out, the profile of the wing is just rectangular. And so by using the sander, you're going to create this blunt leading edge, and more sanding here is going to create the tapered trailing edge. And so as you sand, these lines, the lamination lines, become revealed more or less depending on the shape you're imparting. So these lines you see here, that's what you want to see on your boomerang as you sand and as you finish. One other thing, here in the end, I found that if you taper the underside of each wing, your boomerang is going to work better. I believe that's because it reduces the amount of friction with the air on the end of the boomerang wings. But like I said, it's on the bottom face. So we're looking at the top face. We're looking at the curved face of the boomerang here. But if we were to flip it over, it would be an area maybe in this zone that would be tapered on the underside, and the same over here. An area about this size tapered on the underside. And you can see that happening here. One nice thing about these boomerangs is that they're pretty easy to make. They're very safe to make, especially the sanding part. So it's a great project for kids. And when you're setting out to make them, don't just make one, because most of the work is just getting things set up, digging out the saw, getting the sander ready, all the rest of it. So make 2 or 3 or 4 in one go. They fly very well. You're going to need a large area to throw them safely. And they do hide incredibly well in the grass too, so it's very easy to lose them. I've usually paint the ones I make red, but yellow, fluorescent orange, anything like that. You'll want to paint it that color to give you every chance possible to find these things after a throw.